Hey everyone, it's Steven at Gutter Pop Comics in Buffalo, New York, 1421 Hertel Avenue. It is about 1 a.m. on Wednesday, February 16th, 2022. So that makes it New Comic Book Day. Happy New Comic Book Day, everyone. And quick shout out to my four days a week roommate, Teddy. Happy birthday, man. Shout out Teddy, it's your birthday as I'm filming this. So each week we do a little video where we go through the week's new releases and kind of show off what we've got going on for our regulars and our mail order customers. We update our website, gutterpopcomics.com, about a week after we post this video currently. So our regulars and our mail order customers who follow us on social media can get first dibs on anything cool that they see in the video. So that's currently the best way to secure a copy of something other than subscribing. You can always subscribe or pre-order, but for the time being, this just seems like the best way to do it. So no huge news this week. Last week's video was kind of a disaster. I must have done something wrong when I uploaded it and it's all distorted and blown out, so I probably should just go delete that right now. But yeah, so trying out a new format each week, tweaking the videos, trying to make them better each week. Still a work in progress, so please send me any feedback, really appreciate it. All right, let's get into it, shall we? Thanks so much. All right, for small press, independent, underground comics, first up we've got Crash Pad #1 by Gary Panter. Crash Pad #1, The Unfurling Lotus. So if I may make a quick suggestion, I would recommend pausing the video, going to yahoosearchengine.com, entering in instagram.com, checking out the search field. Instagram is a website that you can go to, and you can search for Gary Panter, the cartoonist you see here, and he is a wonderful follow on that dismal wasteland of a website. But he is such a joy, and everyone should follow him. And even if you're unfamiliar with his work, I think he really comes through and is an incredible artist. And yeah, so if I've got a new Gary Panter release, I gotta really put him at the top of the heap. I gotta give him top billing, even though this is kind of a cheat. I don't know if Fantagraphics counts as a small press thing anymore, but very grateful that they published this wonderful comic. It is a really intense psychedelic kind of, this is I've said this before about other comics, but this feels like a lost classic to me, in that this feels like one of the great underground comics. Like a lot of times you find old underground comics from the 60s and 70s, and they really don't read very well, in my whatever my opinion is worth, but they're always fun to look at. But this one was really, really cool to experience. And it is now available in this second printing for the first time in a very affordable $6 edition. We do have one copy left of the original printing from last year. Shine, very shiny, very hard, different hardcover. And so this is $40, but I really like that Fantagraphics did something, Gary and Fantagraphics did something really cool to me, and they really came swinging out of the gate, where the first printing is the artist edition version, meaning these are scans of the original, or I don't know how they're done, photos of the original Bristol board. So you can see Gary inking on top of his pencils. They're pretty tight, and I get the sense that Gary because they're meant to be published as comics, so he erases a lot of the pencil. But kind of like when Fantagraphics did the Charles Burns artist edition, I was really struck by how just tight it was, and there wasn't a ton of mistakes or whiteout or anything. I don't think I saw any whiteout in this one, But yeah, just loved this edition. Thought it was so cool. Yeah, here, check this out. It like really burns your brain. These end pages. I don't know what that looks like on a camera, but yeah. So the first printing actually came out. This is the comic. This is the first printing, and it came tucked in this little envelope. So just beautiful production, really creative. I think it is out of print. I can't imagine that they're going to do another printing of that, but yeah, no. Super psyched about that. We have one copy left. Go to gutterpopcomics.com, buy a copy if you please. Next up, we've got Broken Land number 4 from Drew Morrison. So Drew is a really wonderful cartoonist who has been self-publishing these Broken Land comics. We just restocked them all. Drew is thinking about swinging through Buffalo this weekend. We may be able to get copies signed for folks. So if anyone wants to reserve a copy or maybe purchase a copy, and then we can figure it out later, just leave us a note that you do want it signed, and then we can just figure it out. But so yeah, like this gross little dude goes on a wandering journey in each issue, and this is actually a special double-size issue. I don't know why, but I think maybe due to the pandemic, Drew was able to really put some time and detail into this new issue. So really wonderful. Psyched to have this restocked. Issue 4, the new issue, in stock. Awesome. So I was struggling on where to put this in the videos now that I'm kind of segmenting them or kind of like putting them together by theme. But so this was originally published as 4 issues by Floating World Comics in Portland, Oregon. They are also a really wonderful comic book store that I've had the pleasure of visiting. And I may visit this weekend, actually. And struggling to try and think of how to say, I didn't, it's very much like a straight action, like sci-fi over-the-top comic. It extremely rules. Wonderful drawing, wonderful like art design, coloring, printing. I guess I should have said it's Alexis Zirit and Dave Baker. And, definitely would appeal to pretty much any action fan, but I put it, I'm talking about the small press thing. Maybe I'll mention it in both videos. But the crux is, like, if you're a fan of kind of like that kind of recent, like, that blend of like art comics and action, like kind of like Michel Fiffe, or, Alexis Zirit is like definitely Space Riders is part of like that kind of current canon of work, but oh geez, what am I trying to say? So like, yeah, if you're a fan of like Daniel Warren Johnson, or maybe there's like a bunch of people kind of working in this zone right now. Charles Forsman. So yeah, highly recommended. If you like action schlock and you love if you like cool comics, this is highly recommended. So from another, I think Floating World was a comic book store, is a comic book store turned publisher. Silver Sprocket is a publisher, now also a comic book store. Looks like published in conjunction with Razor Cake, a long-running punk magazine. 100 Columns for Razor Cake by Ben Snakepit. This is pretty much my history through punk. This is like, I graduated high school in 2002, and so Ben was one of the very first people, like a cartoonist, I remember working like in as far as like documenting current punk stuff or telling stories. There was also like a bunch of other folks. Carrie McNinich. Ultimately, I should probably mention James Kochaka for just inventing like kind of like diary comics in general. But coming out of that, Carrie and like Liz Prince and Ben Snake Pit and Mitch Clem. Those were all folks that I was following who sort of, were like kind of like in the pop punk or like DIY punk scene that I had kind of fallen into. And so I was really, really psyched to revisit these. I feel like it's going to really kind of reopen some stuff in my brain. I've probably read a lot of these before, and it's probably just going to make me think of things I haven't thought about in a very long time. Wow, like the Hex Dispensers. It's a fun band. I haven't thought about them in a while. Okay, so that took way longer. I spent too much time singing Gary's praises, I fear. But you got to shout out Gary. So this last batch of small press stuff is all from Shortbox. Shortbox is a small press publisher based in the UK. I am a big fan. I have been following them since the beginning. We weren't able to get their stuff, oh man, can you hear me typing? I wanted to fact check something, but the crux is that what I was going to fact check was I believe these were all released in one go. Shortbox used to release comics as a box set that you would pre-order, and then they later wholesale to stores. But we weren't able to get their 2021 releases until just this week. And we also restocked everything that was in print on their website. So we did a huge order. Very much looking forward to getting that back in stock. I'm a big fan of the publisher and editor. Zainab's used to do a blog that I used to follow called Comics and Cola. And it's just a really, really great publisher. And they really mean a lot to me. So I'm really, really psyched to get them in the store. They're sort of in the tradition of Koyama Press or Ad House Press or any of the great small press publishers to me, Piao. And so I think we need them now more than ever. So a lot of ass kissing on this episode. I'm not totally sure what that's about, but are we calling these episodes? I guess I'm a little hesitant because I have not had a chance to read any of these. So I cannot wait to, and I almost don't want to spoil them for myself. These are comics I'm very much looking forward to reading, and now I'm going to have to just open them cold on a camera. So I know that this is sort of this character, she's got a ghost or an imaginary headless knight friend, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know. This feels wrong to I don't know. But I'm very much looking forward to all these comics. So I'll try and just show them off really quickly, give a brief synopsis without going too deep. I'll probably do a more dedicated post. But these are beautifully printed comics, beautifully drawn comics. A lot of these younger creators, I get a big video game influence on it. I don't know how off base I am, and I don't mean to say speak out of school. I don't know if any of these people truly are, but it's just a vibe I get. This is a cool cooking comic, kind of this person struggling with cooking and getting better at cooking and maybe feeling overwhelmed by cooking. Very much looking forward to that. This one doesn't really jive with my comment about video games, although I did just play that unpacking video game, and that was incredible, which I'm again spoiling something, but this is a comic about moving. From what I understand, it's in the title, and it's two people who are moving out of an apartment together, and it's my understanding is what gets in the way, and it looks really beautiful and touching, and I cannot believe I should have just read them all, I should have just read them all. Temple, Jack Cole, oh geez, wasn't saying the names of the creators. This one definitely gives me video game, Breath of the Wild. What was that game where you, or maybe a From Software, Dark Souls kind of thing, or that exploratory, man, what's the Shadow of the Colossus kind of vibes, but really beautiful drawing. Not a ton of talking. There was another, oh man, sorry, I gotta stop talking, but really beautiful. This is more of a horror-ish joint. Flipping through it, I got a little bit of a Charles Burns Black Hole vibe, where yeah, I don't know. You know what? Again, it's like I don't want to really go through it too much, but it's like she finds like a weird gristle in the woods, and it's just like this gross thing that she kind of starts to yeah, so just some crazy kind of psychedelic kind of horror adjacent comic. So excited to get those in the shop. That's all the small press stuff we've got. So I guess we'll go to the next segment. Thank you. So for our single comic book issues this week, I actually want to hit something from last week first. So as part of Image's 30th year anniversary, they've been reissuing some of their older comics. And this is a reissue or a facsimile edition of Prophet #1 by Rob Liefeld. And Buffalo cartoonist Kevin Delgado got to do one of the variant covers for it as a store exclusive. So Kevin was nice enough to drop a couple copies off for us and sign them for us to sell in the shop. So hit us up if you'd like a signed copy by Kevin. It didn't make it into last week's video, and so, I mean, last week's video was a mess for technical reasons, but I just wanted to highlight that first. So congrats to Kevin, and congrats to 3D Comics and Pressing Matters, two great local organizations that help make this happen. Solstice is, of course, Kevin's comic book company, so all things to check out. But we do have copies of that for sale, so I just wanted to hit that before I got into this week's stuff. So if anyone is looking to this video to see everything that came out this week for our single issue comics, there are just too many. And so I would suggest going to our Instagram or our Facebook, where in the stories section, Facebook stories, Instagram stories, we post all of the single issues that we have for sale Wednesday morning. So I will hit a couple in these videos of just like comics of note if you're looking to try out a new issue. Obviously, I'm not going to try and sell you issue 17 of a story you've never read. So that would be more the trade comic book graphic novel format. But for single issues, we got Iron Fist #1. They're teasing a new Iron Fist in this video, maybe a new person wearing the golden slippers. So that's pretty cool if you are interested in that. So there's a new Spider-Man villain that everyone's psyched about, the Goblin Queen, is that right? And then this is like her origin, or like we're going to learn more about her in this issue. So this might be a cool, even though this is like part of a larger story, this just might be a cool one to jump on. You know, Spider-Man, it's pretty easy. Like he's neighborhood superhero. This is issue 2, but still early enough we still have copies of issue 1. This is like a really interesting like twist on the origin story, and yeah, written by Chip Zdarsky, really cool art. So 10 issue miniseries. This might be fun if you're into Batman or want a kind of a different Batman take. That might be a cool one to get into. And then I actually did a flip through of this in the kids section of this video, but man, what a cool cover. I just wanted to show off this cover. Marvel Voices is, of course, an anthology series that they're doing where they're working with artists and writers of color to kind of help flesh out their diverse like superhero lines. So like, you know, they have all these great characters. You know, in the past, a lot of them were like worked on by predominantly like white men. And so, you know, they're taking the opportunity to work with different creators to try and, you know, flesh them out and give them like, so that, you know, this series is for Black History Month, this specific issue rather. And so it's all, yeah, so you get some cool interviews with different Black creators, and yeah, it's a really cool comic. So, but man, that cover rules. So just wanted to show those off as like some comics and note. Actually, I got one more. This might be of interest to people who liked Garth Ennis. Still unclear what that is, how to say that dude's name, but his this is like a more grounded comic. This is not like Preacher of the Boys, but it's like a grounded war comic, sort of like he did that comic Dreaming Eagles that was very good. And so this is like a new issue of that. So it's like, I believe, a British battalion or something, British Special Forces. So yeah, so kind of more like a historical fiction kind of thing. So I'm going to flip through a couple things. So I just am shocked that not more people are talking about, like, plenty of people are talking about Echolands, which is a really, really good comic that's coming out that is beautifully drawn. And, it's definitely selling a lot of copies. People are psyched on it. But these raw cut editions that they're publishing are just stunning and so bizarre looking that I just want to do a quick flip through because, like, again, I feel like more people should be talking about how just like unique these look. I mean, they really break my brain a little bit. Just with like the weird, I mean, they're just so interesting. Just the choices of like refinement, like the levels of like finished art to not finished art, and then like what gets full color and what gets like the watercolor wash, and what's like the inking. I mean, I just love the black and white juxtaposed with the color, and then like the wash with the like very detailed. So yeah, these just like really, I find these like really, really fun to look at. I mean, just super laborious drawing. And I just like the different, I don't know. So yeah, like I said, people have been really digging this comic, but the art is definitely one of the main attractions. And I think these editions are not getting the shine that they deserve. There's some fun back matter too, like just like what J.H. Williams III is listening to while making this stuff, and wow, some cool 13th floor elevators, wire, amazing. But yeah, so cool. So yeah, I just wanted to show that off because we still have a bunch of those, and I think a lot of folks will like that. This looked like a really violent kind of thing, real, like just real gory and like, looks like I think I have a good number of customers who would like kind of a over the top, super violent. Ugh, that guy's having a bad day. But yeah, just like a really like kind of bonkers, violent action comic. So that looked kind of interesting. I thought some folks might enjoy that. This also kind of stuck out. I don't know anything about this other than I'm getting this like interesting vibe of like homaging both Frank Miller and like Darwin Cook like simultaneously. So maybe you'll see, like I open it up, this is like fun. It's like the 90s. It was the best of times, the most extreme of times. That's pretty cool, right? Like a pretty fun reference to the yeah, I mean like this is just like, so we've got like this homage thing. The first sequence is like it's like at a strip club, so I kind of like don't want to open to those pages. But then it gets into this like more cartoony Darwin Cook vibe. I don't know if that's fair to say it's Darwin Cook. I'm just like a more cartoony thing. It gets a little spicy. This is maybe what made me think of Darwin Cook was like her facial expressions and stuff. But yeah, this looks like really cool and interesting. So that's just like a nice surprise. So I don't know anything about this. Yeah, okay, there's like a meta element with the comics. So it's definitely like riffing on that. But I don't know if this is a one-shot or a single issue. Cover A, issue 1. So yeah, I'm going to read that one. That looks really cool. Well, it's already in frame a little bit. So I'm a sucker for anything like this, vintage pre-code horror. I mean, the sillier the better, the schlockier the better, blood-sucking tales of terror. This looks really great to me, and I would have loved it if it wasn't on this shiny paper, but I actually don't mind so much because they did a really cool job like scanning it and saturating the, I think they tweaked the levels a little bit, but in a really like kind of fun, like almost like this neon way where it doesn't feel accurate. So I don't really mind that it's on like coated paper. Does that make any sense? I even think they went in and like kind of digitally like touched it up like texture wise, but I think it looks really sharp. That font rules. Vampires Bite. So yeah, I mean I love this stuff. It's just so stupid. I mean a lot of it, but oof. Yeah, I don't know. Vampire Castle. Dude, that is hilarious. This dude, like right here. That's so good. Anyway, that looks really cool. I'm glad I picked up a couple of those. And then again, we have plenty of issues of the first one. Joe Hill, Zoe Thorogood, some other folks that I should shout out. But David Boer, I had made a point to not try and pronounce anyone's names anymore. I totally forgot that was going to be my New Year's resolution. Chris O'Halloran all worked on this comic. And yeah, the art looks really cool. Big fan of Zoe's art. I've liked her other comics. And this is like a kind of a post-apocalyptic horror comic where I believe like it's just like raining pain. Yeah. Just stuff's coming down from the skies and killing everyone. So yeah, plenty of copies of the first one if you want to get it on that. That's the second issue. And that is everything that I have. Again, if you want to check out more of the single issue comics, highly suggest you check out our Instagram or our Facebook page where we post all of the stuff we have for sale in the stories. All right, for manga this week, we've got a new volume of Urusei Yatsura by Rumiko Takahashi, volume 13. Rumiko Takahashi being one of the all-time great cartoonists. I'm going to say that every time she's got something I can talk about. And this is pretty early work for her. It has been fun for me to kind of watch her evolve and, really grow into the amazing cartoonist that she becomes. And this stuff was published in English before, but I had never read it before. This character, this Lum or Loom, I don't know how you say it, she was like all over the place when I first started like getting into manga or going to anime conventions in Atlanta. And yeah, I never knew who she was. I don't know if I even really placed that it was, I don't know if I knew who Rumiko Takahashi was in that sense. Like I knew her work, but I wasn't like following her yet. So, but it's been cool to like follow these along, and yeah, no, glad, happy to have that in the shop. New volume of Kageki Shoujo, number 4. This is a sequel to the series Kageki Shoujo, with 1 exclamation point, not 2. This is a pretty fun, light series about a theater troupe, very charming. So far, I haven't gotten the same like kind of complexity from the first series, but at least emotionally, but it's been very good so far. So pretty charming stuff, Kageki Shoujo. This is one that I keep meaning to check out, and I just keep dropping the ball. This one, so this is the manga that is kicking off. I think there's like a movie or an anime series that's out, and I've had a couple customers tell me it's really beautiful. It's like about animation, and every time somebody explains it to me, it just sounds totally awesome. And I just keep not watching that show, and I just keep not reading this comic, and I'm not sure why. So maybe this will get me in the zone. So it looks really cool. I don't know how to say it. Keep your hands off Aizouken. Pretty cool. I I did not get to read the first volume of this, but I had 1 or 2 customers tell me that it was pretty chill. A wistful romance blossoms between 2 boys finding themselves and each other through a shared love of films in this moving drama. So I like that. I just like 2 people connecting through their, their shared love of an art form. That is very romantic to me. So my summer of you. And that does it on the manga. So pretty light on manga this week. Feel free to reach out if there's anything I am missing. Manga has been very annoying to order, but it's getting a little better. So hit me up if there is a series that came out this week that you are scandalized, shocked even that we did not get. Awesome. Cool. That is manga. Boom, boom, boom. All right, for our genre, comics and graphic novels. And what I mean by that is like, science fiction, fantasy, horror, action, in this case, superhero comics. We've got a new Moon Knight series. So this is the first collection from Marvel Comics of like the first 6 issues. So this is the cover is kind of a bait and switch with the art. If you continue to watch me do these videos, you'll probably hear me make that complaint quite often. I don't understand why they do that, but people seem to be really digging this, and this kind of builds on. There have been a lot of different Moon Knight series in the last like 5 or 6 years, and they've really built on the character and taken him in a lot of different cool directions. Kind of added a lot of mythology or like lore to the character, and like deepened like interpersonal relationships and stuff. So very cool. I just want to figure out something super quick. I mean, it's like I'm looking at this thing, and it's like if this knee is in front of this knee, but then this foot is behind this foot, but then this knee is in front of that. So if that knee is in front of, so it's like this is the foreground, the lightning's behind. So this knee is in front of this foot. It's like bent back, and then this is cool. So that checks out. And then also from Moon Knight Comics. This is volume 3 of the Epic collection. So this reprints like I think issues like 25 to 38, 24 to 38. So these are old Moon Knight comics. That's such an iconic cover to me. But so I feel like this finishes up the Bill Sienkiewicz run, which is sort of like a very acclaimed. This is sort of where he got his start and kind of developed into the artist. Some of the lore on this book is that like, this along with maybe Daredevil around, not quite exactly the same time period, but it was like they weren't the best-selling titles, so they kind of left the artists alone to do more adventurous stuff. And so you get just some really incredible. So this is like some of the best Sienkiewicz stuff at the very end. So you don't get a ton of it because then it quickly changes to different artists, but it goes back and forth. So you get some really great stuff in here. The werewolf issue, that's another iconic issue to me. I forget exactly, like how far does it go? So Bohampton. But yeah, so really cool stuff. Psyched to have this in the store. I hope to get more of the Epic collections, especially since there's going to be the Disney Channel TV show or whatever. So Batman the Detective from Tom Taylor, Andy Kubert, Sandra Hope, Brad Anderson. That seemed pretty popular, but it's imprisoned in shrink wrap, and I shan't be opening it today. I've been getting a lot of customers asking me about, there's a bunch of Warhammer comics. This is the Warhammer 40K stuff. This is actually published by Marvel, but it is just straight up like, like that. It's not, there's no Superman in that or whatever. There's no Miracle Man, doesn't show up in the Warhammer universe. Volume 3 of Undiscovered Country. This has been a really interestingly divisive title. Like a lot of folks have told me to check it out because it's just like so bonkers, but been kind of divisive. Joker War Saga. So this is the softcover edition. The whole the whole shebang, to quote Rob Schraub. Shout out Rob Schraub. The whole shebang, the Joker War. Crowded Volume 3. This is a pretty fun, like, crime comedy pairing. Really fun characters, really, got some fun twists and turns. But yeah, pretty nice. Ordinary Gods Volume 1. They're Ordinary Gods. I think this is like superhero-y though, right? Or maybe it's just science fiction. I know that Image Comics is launching they're kind of like getting back, putting a focus on superheroes again. So this, I think I'm confusing this with something else. But this looks cool. This looks like, like high fantasy, like playing with. I saw that Kieran Gillen gave a quote in his The Wicked and the Divine series. Seems like something. Like how do you say that? A spiritual successor? No, it's just something like, that's the wrong turn of phrase. I just mean that something like a kindred spirit. That's what I meant to say. And hey, look at this. So nice. I'm going to show it off twice. Night Hunters. I depending on what order I decide to edit these videos in, I may have already talked about this in the indie section, but this is just a great sci-fi action, more on the action side, and just very fun and ridiculous, like dialed up to 11, like the most violent. Imagine like an actually violent G.I. Joe episode mixed with like Ghost in the Shell or Cyberpunk 2066 or whatever that was called, like the board game, not the video game. So that is all the Action comics that I'm aware of that we got in this week. This is, of course, the gritty reboot of Wuthering Heights. So I won't spoil it, but there are vampires and zombies in it, and Abraham Lincoln. So awesome. That is all of the Action superhero graphic novels we got in this week. Thank you very much. All right, and for kids comics this week, we've got Hilo Volume 8. This is a hugely popular comic. As evidenced by the fact that we got the Dog Man himself on the cover, singing the comics praises. We've got the Big Nate himself on the back cover singing this comics praises. And so, this your kid probably already is reading this or knows about this. This is Volume 8. We're all stocked up on all 8 volumes. So if they're not, this is a very funny adventure series that, is maybe for fans of Joey Weiser's Merman, or if they're more drawn to humor but would like a little adventure, this is definitely a book for the young person in your life. And maybe that young person in your life is also what is the fandom of this called? I believe it's a Tiny Pony Man. I think that's right. So if you've got a Tiny Pony Man in your life, then this is a no-brainer. It's like a big chunk of the My Little Pony comics. And if you've got like a road trip coming up and need to stick your companion, your travel companion's face in a book for a couple hours, so they may sit silently and enjoy the world of MLP. So that's a no-brainer. You can kind of pick up any of those. You don't need to even though it's Volume 7, it's like they know the characters. You can just they're not going to be confused or anything. The Princess Who Saved Her Friends. This is a cool high fantasy meets rock and roll, like a Battle of the Bands kind of thing. And so, the drawing looks really cool. It kind of straddles the line of picture book and comic book. But yeah, it looks really cool. Maybe you've got a Venn diagram in your life of rock band, dragons. I know dragons are really in right now with the kids. So, Scooby-Doo. Maybe you have a little person, a young person in your life who you could give the gift of comics to. consider subscribing. We have a subscription service, and maybe that's a fun way to get them into the store every month or so to pick up their books. And these Scooby-Doo comics are very popular and very satisfying. Like, people, the kids, they love the Scoob. And so, yeah, that's kind of a no-brainer. But yeah, get in touch. There's a handful of like comics explicitly for kids, like comic books. And so if you think that'd be a fun thing for them, get in touch. So this one isn't explicitly for kids, but I thought it'd be a good place to show it off. Marvel Voices is a series that Marvel has been doing, working with different writers and cartoonists of color. This particular issue is celebrating Black History Month, and so it's got a really cool introduction by Kamara Horn, who I'm familiar with from, she created the Blurred Girl, which is like a long-running website, through the lens of her experience as like a self-identifying a Black nerd, so Blurred, and she's just a really cool person. And I know she's gone on to do a bunch of other like comics and pop culture like criticism and stuff like that. So that's cool that they got her to do the introduction. And then a bunch of cool, just like a lot of great talent. And so the idea, I mean, maybe with this particular issue and the other issues, is like getting different, Black writers and cartoonists and creators to work on these, really popular Black superhero characters. And so it jumps around a lot tonally, and we've got a lot of cool different art styles and vibes. And I think this would be perfect for a kid. It's got an interview with Brian Stelfreeze, who's an amazing artist, Black comic book artist. And here it kind of talks about some of the, they like help contextualize some of the characters maybe who have been in the TV shows and whatnot. So pretty cool. Got a bunch of these. Feel free to message me if you'd also like to know about the other Marvel Voices comic books that they've made. So, and then last but not least, this is also part of Marvel's like, they've been publishing stuff to help contextualize some of their characters for younger audiences, and this one is about the X-Men character Storm. This is republishing an older series about her childhood, so it's called Aurora. That's her non-superhero name, and so it's like a cool origin story about her. And then it also includes like several different Storm stories from over the years, kind of giving a nice like multi-dimensional view of the character that's not just like zapping people with electricity or watering her plants, which is that's my like beats to chill to. Is just that's like my ASMR is like animated GIF of Storm watering plants, and then just like ambient like chill music. But anyway, so so that's all the kids books this week. All right, well that's actually it for the video. So thanks so much, y'all. Really appreciate it. Next week, nugget number 2.